Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all our participants joining us from different parts of the country and beyond. I'm Dr. Shanoli Ray, founder of ProLearns. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to today's online masterclass on research and writing skills. In today's rapidly evolving academic and professional landscape, the ability to research effectively and communicate ideas through structured writing has become one of the most essential future ready skills. However, many students, educators, researchers, and professionals still struggle with finding credible information, organizing research, and presenting their ideas with clarity and impact. To bridge this critical skill gap, ProLance proudly presents this exclusive masterclass as part of the knowledge sharing initiatives aimed at empowering learners, educators, researchers, and professionals worldwide through accessible, meaningful, and future focused learning experiences. At ProLearns, we are committed to creating platforms for professional growth through masterclasses, certification programs, leadership initiatives, soft skills development, and career oriented learning opportunities. We are truly delighted to have with us today our esteemed facilitator, Dr. Dilpreet Kaur, Assistant Professor at Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, Punjab, who will guide us through this insightful session with her expertise and practical knowledge. Thank you once again for joining us today. Let us begin this enriching learning journey together. Over to you, Dr. Dilpreet, and welcome to the ProLance platform.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today's session will be on structuring and writing a research paper. I will divide this session into three parts, that is planning, writing, and revision, because all these three parts are very important for writing any kind of research paper. So, first, let's start with what's a research paper. A research paper is simply a piece of academic writing that provides analysis and interpretation. It is a in-depth consideration of topic or research question. If you have any topic, any research question in your mind, you will just research the things on it. One is searching, one is researching. Searching is for something new. But if already research has been done and we are again finding some missing gaps, some missing pieces on it, that is called research. And it presents original thesis statement. The research question that you are working on is your original, and you must engage in primary as well as secondary sources to make your research authentic. Now, what is this primary and secondary sources? If we are making a questionnaire and doing a field survey to know about certain things, it is called primary data that we are originating, that is being created for the first time. While what is secondary data? It is already published in some databases, in some repositories, in some websites, in some blogs, anything that is already published online available, and we are taking some information from there, it is called secondary source. So we must refer to the secondary source which are already published, and we must supplement it with primary data also, which is being collected by us through some structured questionnaires. So that is the only way that we can contribute something new to the field, and that is the research all about, because contributing something new to the field is the actual core of the research. So these are the three parts that I have divided today's session into. One is research and planning, second is writing, and the third part is revision. So we'll start with the first segment of our session today, that is research and planning. So what are the components of planning? That is mental preparation. We are not doing any kind of research in this part, we are just preparing ourselves. We have to understand our assignment first. What is our deadline? What is the word count we are aiming for? What is the goal of the assignment? Why we are doing this research? What is the basic purpose of this research? What are the topics that we can write about, and why are we considering a particular topic? Now, topic, That is the most important question in the research, because if you're not clear about your topic, how will you pursue your research? So you have to choose a topic first, very carefully, very considerably. How can we do that? We have to generate a set of ideas for it. So there are many ways that we can generate ideas for a research paper. We can go for brainstorming with pen and paper, or we can talk with our fellow students, we can talk to our professors, we can talk to the experts of the field, because we want a clear definition and we want to narrow down that what kind of topic we are working in. Like in my field is management. In management there is different kinds of management. We have HR management, we have financial management, we have marketing management, we have IT management. So different kinds of management. First I'll narrow down the things step by step, that okay, I want to work on financial management. In financial management also there are number of topics. We have stock markets, we have banking, we have behavioral finance, we have microfinance, we have certain kinds of financial topics in it. So I'll narrow down that I'll work on banking. Now what in banking? So stage by stage I'll just narrow down the things to reach to my specific topic. So you can have your list of choices. There is a complete freedom. There is number of AI tools available that will help you in searching your topic. So the basic principle is follow your curiosity. What attracts you, what incites you, what gives you inspiration to work on, what is the thing that you will be happy to work on. And that should be both original and specific. It should be your idea, original, not be copied one. And it should be very specific, like I mentioned earlier, that management, finance, banking, lending, priority sector. This is the chain. I have to make it narrow. I have to work on a particular topic. So I have to make it specific. So once you have decided your topic, picking your topic is actually a research, because research starts later on, but selecting the topic is the first step. And if you have cleared this first step properly, half of the work is done. This is the actual research. So there are some tips for selecting the topic. You need to have some idea of you what you want to do. This is probably the most difficult yet most important part of research, that you must know that on what topic you want to make the research. For that, you will have to do the preliminary research. Now, what is this preliminary research? It is about exploring the literature of the topic. This is the most important and most essential step of any research. You can go through the books, you can go through the journals, you can go through the any reliable sources from your perspectives. You have to read the things, you have to overlook the sources, you have to consider the debates that have been addressed, you have to take the unique take on your topic, you have to know the developments and the extent that has already been done on your topic. So this literature review is the most important part, and literature review builds the fundamentals of your research. Literature review can be done from any source. We have a particular designated add-on on Google, which is known as Google Scholar. All the research papers are available on Google Scholar. Just click on the paper and the PDF is available. We have many AI tools these days also to synchronize the literature review. We have Research Rabbit, we have Semantic Scholar, Conscious Space. These are some of the research tools which will give you the linked papers along with. They will guide you what to read, what not to read, so you can get your research better. And keep refining. Now, refining is the key word in research. You have to keep refining throughout the research, whether you are at planning phase, whether you are at writing phase, whether you are at revision phase. Refining is going to be throughout in the research. First, you will select the broad area, then you will identify the literature and read that literature, 10 papers, 20 papers. That would be sufficient to give you the basic idea of what you want to search on. So definitely focus on the limitations and the research gaps. Every research paper at the end must have given the limitations and the research gaps. So focus on that. That will give you the idea that what innovative and original part you can play to further that research. So you have to determine the key dimensions and variables and the possible methodology. So these are now technical terms of research that I will make you clear. What are the variables? What are the methodology? You will go through these topics in all the research papers. You have to select particular variables like in, if I are talking about green microfinance. So what are the green microfinance variables? Green microfinance variables would be its drivers. These are the variables. What are the factors that are contributing to the green microfinance? What are the variables that have influenced the adoption of green finance? What are the outcomes? There are social outcomes, environmental outcomes, or some economic outcomes. What are these are variables. These are rather constructs. What is construct? Construct is further having number of variables in it. If you have selected a construct of environmental outcome, it will have a set of statements that is variable. So set of variables will combinedly known as a construct. So you have to define your methodology. We will come to the methodology part in detail when I'll discuss the second part of writing. So at the planning stage, we have to consider our topic, consider our dimensions, consider our literature review, and the possible methodology in our mind so that we can have a good framework in our mind. So research how your work fits into the existing literature. Now, existing literature is already having number of papers, number of authors who have already done so many work on it. How our work fits there? This is like an example of jigsaw puzzle. There is a jigsaw puzzle in front of you, and there is one missing piece. You have to identify that missing piece, that my research, my paper would be that missing piece in the complete jigsaw puzzle. So once you have decided your topic, your research, you are familiar with yourself and your previous research work, you will be able to answer these questions, that what was missing in the previous literature, what was not addressed, what was not being researched on earlier, that I am going to do, because your research would be futile if you are working on the similar things that has already been done by somebody. So if you want to work on something that is later on publishable and acknowledgeable, you have to work on something new, that what people already don't know about that topic, but knowledge is already missing on it. So you have to find out that missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle, that are you going to work on. Then the next step is understand your target audience. If my target audience is students, my research would be different. If my target audience is academicians, my research would be different. If my target audience is some bankers or some policymakers or some managers of the corporate world, the research would be different. So I have to identify what is my target audience. I have to understand that why my research is required and what is the expectation out of my research. So it is obvious to understand and write what is and who is your audience, and understand their point of view from your research. So I've already made you clear that what is primary and secondary sources of data. We have to consider both. If you want to have a good research, we will have secondary sources also, because secondary sources are the ones that are already published, that has already been available online through some databases, some repositories or websites. And the primary sources will be that data collected by us. That is the first hand data. That is, we frame a structured question array, we go in the field, we ask people our sample, the questions required, and we get the data. So both the secondary data and the primary data is required for any kind of research. But both this primary and secondary data are quantitative in nature. They are in figures, they are in data. These days, it is very much popular that we should not only have quantitative research, we should mix it with qualitative aspects as well. So that is called mixed method approach. We should mix quantitative research through primary and secondary and qualitative research. Qualitative research includes insights, opinions, feedbacks, because not only data and figures can represent the true reality, the true insights of the people. Like my sample, if my sample is bankers, if my sample is rural people, I must go to them, I must have some interviews with them, some focus group analysis to know their hidden insights. That would be my qualitative data. There are many softwares these days to analyze quantitative and qualitative data. Only we have to collect the information and we have to put it in the softwares, and we will get the results. There are softwares like SPSS, MOS, Smart PLS for quantitative analysis. There are softwares like NVivo for qualitative analysis. So we have to follow mixed method approach. This is the most important part. Software is not going to work on its own. It will work on your instructions, and you will finalize that which technique has to be applied on it. You have the data, You have the components. Now you're putting it in software, the appropriate software, and you have to tell the software that which technique has to be applied on it. There are a number of techniques, but you have to finalize that which technique will be applied on your data that will give you the meaningful results. There are many techniques like factor analysis, regression, then we have structural equational modeling, correlations, cluster analysis, many techniques. But every technique has its own certain set of requirements. What kind of variables can be made used in that technique, what kind of limitations that technique is having. So you have to study your technique and then apply it through the software. Like if we are evaluating the factors or drivers or antecedents of some phenomena, we will use factor analysis. If we are studying relationship, we will use regression analysis. If we are building a model and testing it, we will use confirmatory factor analysis and structural equational modeling, that is the advanced research technique. So we must be clear, very clear about it, that which technique is used to be where and apply it accordingly. So to test the credibility, we have this one very simple CRAP test. Now, what is this CRAP test? All our data, all our literature review should pass this CRAP test. What is CRAP test? C stands for currency. Currency is that your information is current, it is up to date, it is not obsolete. Then R stands for relevance. Your research must be very relevant in the today's world. It should not be that these phenomena are not working today and you are researching about that only. Then you should have the authority, like where it is published and who is the author. If you will use the content, if you use the data, you will use the information without the authorized content, it will be called plagiarism. Plagiarism is a legal offense in research. If you will use copied material and you will not take the proper authorized permission, it will be plagiarized content, and it is not allowed to use plagiarized content in any form. It is a legal offense, so it must be properly authorized. Another A stands for accuracy. All your information that is coming from some source, it must have a supporting evidence. It must be accurate. It should not be based on some gut work or some feelings or some hinge work. It should be very accurate, and accurate not only in your perspective, it should be accurate, and it should be having evidence for that accuracy, that this author is saying that he has done this research, so this paper is a supporting evidence for what you are stating in your paper. So everywhere literature review is going to support your complete research. If you are writing even one line in your research paper, it should be supported by some review, and you should mention and should acknowledge that person from in any form you are taking, even an idea. If you are taking idea from any paper, even then you should acknowledge that person, that paper in your acknowledgements. So P stands for purpose. Why was this information published? So if you are using secondary data may be used from different sources. So they have published it with different purpose, but you are using the same data with some different purpose. So there must not be any purpose mismatch. They have done it with some different purpose. Their angle was different. They have done it differently. And you are using the same things for different purpose. So that would be a purpose mismatch. So you have to reconcile that. And then comes the formulating a proper thesis statement. What is your central argument? Till now, we have done literature view, we have done the methodological part. So now we should be very clear in our mind, as this is a planning phase only. We should be very clear what is our central argument, what is our research question, is it concise, it is coherent. So every argument should be guided with a literature review. So we may be able to revise and refine this thesis statement later on, but till now we should have a basic framework in our mind that what we are going to do in our research. And you should structure that also. You should outline that also. Just have a written notes, ensure that nothing is forgotten. The flow of information should be correct. Organize the things completely. That would give you a better structuring. Also, a very essential part, that keep the record of citations with you. Now, what is these citations? Whenever we refer to a research paper, like earlier mentioned, that you can refer to the research papers through Google Scholar or Semantic Scholar. Every paper that you are going to refer, every paper should be cited in your research. I have mentioned about the acknowledgements, references, and the concept of plagiarism earlier. So each time you use a source, make sure you take a note of where this information came from. when you open Google Scholar and search a paper, there is an option of cite at the bottom of the paper. So click on that cite. There is a Google Scholar. Google Scholar, if you search some paper, there is an option of cite. Click on the cite. It will give you a citation of that paper in various formats, in APA format, in MLA format, whichever format suits you. Mostly APA format is used. So you can copy that citation in one different file. You can also use some AI tools and softwares like Mendeley to keep the track record of these citations, right? So if you don't want to manually copy one and every citation of every paper, you can do it with some AI tool also. But the important part is that citation generator should be there with you, and you should completely have a citation list with you. You should have the acknowledgement that from where you are using the resources, from where you are taking the information, and you have to take due acknowledgement of these things in your paper. So this was the first part of our session today, that was planning. Till now we have studied about literature review, we have made the basic framework of methodology in our mind, and we have structured and outlined our thoughts along with the citations. Now comes the main part of the research, that is writing a research paper. Now writing is a skill, and this skill has to be learned with practice only. There is no overnight task that you will be able to write a research paper within a day. This requires a lot of skill. So when you write even one paragraph of research paper, you can take a break, because this is something that will come from internal side. So if you want to take break, you can take a break. Even one paragraph at one go is sufficient. And the most important thing that people do is putting the old wine in new bottle. When you put the old wine in new bottle, means we are using the same idea, same anecdotes and same information, just we are presenting it in a better way. That is not a research, that is a big cross. But you can definitely give a new wine in an old bottle. You can use the old bottle. Old bottle here stands for the traditional framework. You can use their methodology, you can use their frameworks, you can use their ideas, and you can present it in your own way, own research, right? So most of the thing that people ignore while writing a research paper, that's why research papers got rejected, is only these things that we have discussed so far. Our topic should be correct, it should be well analyzed and then selected. We should not ignore the significant work in our area. There should not be any theoretical underpinnings. Like if you are studying any topic, it must have some theoretical framework for it. If we are working on decision making, then in decision making, the very important theory is prospect theory. And if we are working on decision making and ignoring the prospect theory, that is a theoretical underpinning. So we have to study the basic theories in our area that are famous, and we cannot ignore and undervalue them. And next, our methodological part and discussions, that must also be technically correct. And plagiarism, I've already told you, is a legal offense, and we have to take due consideration of acknowledgements and citations if we are even taking an idea from anywhere. So let's start with getting the written format of the paper ready. So first of all, we have to create time for writing. It is not a 5 minute, 10 minute, or half an hour job. We must have a special slot in our day to write a paper when our mind is fresh and we can set a goal. We should take help of the copy editor. There are many AI tools like Grammarly. They just check your language and there are no grammatical mistakes. So, and another thing would be read only quality papers. I'll mention some of the good publishers in the another part of the session today. We have to read only quality papers. If we will read papers that are not good in quality, obviously our writing part will be getting affected from it. So we must only read papers from good publishers. Copy editing and language checking can be supported by some softwares. So we'll start the writing part in step by step. First is title. First, we are going to write, whenever we are going to start a research paper, the first thing we have to decide is its title. Title should be very attractive. It should summarize the content of the paper. It should be differentiated from the ones that are already being published in your stream. It should be, if you are targeting publishing, then it should be from editor's perspective, and it has to be very specific. And most importantly, it must catch the attention of reader. Like, I'll give you an example. There are two titles. Which would you recommend? There is Export Competentness, a systematic literature review, or the same thing I can mention in a different title: 3 decades of EC literature, systematic review, synthesis, and future research agenda. So, second title is better because it is giving me more detailed explanation that what is the part of my paper. It is having a review, it is having a synthesis, it is having a future research agenda, and what time period I have been covered in this literature review. I have covered 3 decades. So second title is giving me better and comprehensive information. So whenever you make a title, try to give maximum information so that reader is attracted towards your topic and selects your paper to read. So I'll start with writing the first draft. First draft won't always be perfect because we can polish it on later on. But your priorities at this stage must be very clear. You have to maintain a forward momentum. You can just focus on writing and not on the perfection. Just pay attention on the clear organization and logical ordering of the paragraphs, that one paragraph is in coherence with the second paragraphs. Like, research papers are mostly like story like format. If you're writing a paper, you must be connecting one para with the other para so that it is a story like format and the reader is not losing its interest. We are always interested in reading stories and novels because that catches our attention, that what happens next. Similarly, in research paper also, the reader must be so involved in research paper that what happens next arouses his curiosity. So, expressing your ideas as clearly as possible. There should not be any ambiguous words, any confusion, any technical jargons. It should be very easy. And it should not start by writing the introduction. If you feel natural, you can start with your discussion part. You can start with your literature review part. It is not always essential that we will start only with our introduction part. So these are the various parts of research paper. What should a research paper be having? All these are the components of research paper. First, it must be having an abstract. Abstract is a summary of what has been done in a research paper. Then there should be an outline, introduction, literature review, methodology, then your results, what have you analyzed, discussion for the same, recommendations, limitations, conclusion, acknowledgements, and references. Now we are going to study all these components of a research paper in little detail. So first one is abstract. What is abstract? It is a summary of the information that you are giving in your research paper. So why did you study a project? What did you do? How did you do? What did you find? The main questions. In abstract of basically it is of 200 words, not more than this. In 200 words, you must summarize your complete paper. That why have you done this? What you have done in it? And what are your main findings and recommendations? So it should contain four short paragraphs. You can mention your research questions in it. How did you answer your research questions? What was your response? What was your main finding and conclusion? You can mention that in abstract. This is an example of abstract from a particular research paper. See, in emerald kind of papers, they divide it into headings also. You may or may not divide it in headings, subheadings, but in abstract, these components must be covered. You must give the purpose, you must give the methodology of your paper, your main findings, because findings is the actual result outcome of any research. So it should be given clearly in abstract. And then implications, how these are implied in corporate world or anywhere you are implying your research for. And what was your originality in this paper? What you have done, which was already not being done by anyone. That is the core component, the innovative part of your research. So this is the abstract. Second component is your, after writing abstract, you will write your introduction. So primary purpose of introduction is to frame the interest of readers, to provide the basic framework to them that why should they read your paper. So it should be having the brief description of your topic, the statement as to why the topic is worth researching or why it could be found interesting for them. It should contain your basic statement of research objectives, your basic statement of methods, and just a basic overview of rest of your paper. So basically a concise and simple introduction that clears the researcher or reader about the clear idea of the central issue and why you thought that this was worth studying. It should definitely contain your full statement of research question and research objectives. And as I've already mentioned, that complete research paper should be in a story like format, that it must arouse the interest of the reader so that he continues to read. The next part of a research paper is review of literature. Now, review of literature we have done in planning also. We have searched about the various papers and read about the various papers. Now we have to write about it, that we have studied these 10, these 20 papers, and different authors are saying this about this topic. So we have to summarize a different portion in our research papers under the heading of review of literature, which will develop the theoretical framework and methodology of your research. You have to position your work in relation to the other researchers, that what other researchers have done, you will mention them one by one. Now, there are two ways of mentioning their work. One, you can just give one by one, or you can give line by line and then mentioning in brackets the various authors who have done, who have said particular thing. So you can mention in any way. The basic idea is that you have to mention that already this work has been done and my paper is going to contribute this different segment now. So there is a twin objective. One, you are mentioning all the research literature, and secondly, you are making your paper stand out in respect of that research literature, that what research gap your paper is addressing. So basically, this is about evaluating the current state of research and demonstrating your knowledge in the context of other debates around your topic. And there is one very good way to include in-text citations. Now, there are two types of citations. One citation that I have mentioned you, that go in the Google Scholar, click on the site, and you will get the citation. That citation you will mention at the end of the paper. But you can also click on the in-text citation. In-text citation, what is an in-text citation? That you have mentioned a particular line and then in bracket you are mentioning the name of the author and the name of the year in which that particular study has been done. So our study must reconcile in these two forms of citations. One, in-text citations should be there, and secondly, at the end, references citations should be there, and both should match. All the in-text citations should be given in the references, and all the references should be mentioned in the in-text citations. That is one of the good journals expect from a research paper, that if you have referred some source, do mention it, that in what context you have mention it in with the line, like I am writing a line in the review of literature that banking is a backbone of any economy, bracket Sharma, comma 2012. Sharma, some Sharma author said in 2012 that banking is the backbone of any economy. Then I'm giving that Sharma 2012 citation in detail in references, that in which journal and in which year and in which journal he said this. So this is the matchup of both kind of citations, in-text citations and reference citations. So a good literature review gathers information from multiple sources, and all sources must be mentioned in text as well as references. So you can download your literature and read papers based on now which paper to read and which paper to download. You can follow these three parameters for that. That is citations, journal, and indexing. These are some good sites you can use to download papers. One is Google Scholar, then SkyMagor, Scopus database is there, then ABDC. This is the Scopus site. You can check any journal. So if you are reading a paper and you want to check whether it is indexed or not, there are certain kinds of indexation. Scopus is the indexation, ABDC list is an indexation, Web of Science is an indexation. So you can check that whether the paper that you are going to read is indexed in a good database or not. So this is the Scopus database page. You can just write Scopus Purview on the Google and this page will open. You can type the name of your journal and check that whether your paper or whether your journal is in Scopus database or not. All the journals that are in Scopus database are authenticated and tested that they are the good ones. Similarly, Sci-Hub. Sci-Hub is also a very good hack. Sometimes at Google Scholar, PDFs are not available. Only HTML documents are available that only gives you abstract of the paper and not the complete paper. So you can just put the DOI number in this Sci-Hub and the complete PDF can be extracted. This is just a hack. So quality of paper depends on publishers and databases. So what are the reputed publishers? I've already mentioned you some of it. Emerald, Taylor and Francis, Springer, Wiley, Sage. These are the publishers which are very reputable. If you see their name in some journal, in some paper, that guarantees that the paper is the good one and you can go for it. You can read that paper and you can follow that paper for your research. There are some reputed databases, like we have already talked about Scopus, Web of Science, and APDC. There are some more, like in sciences, we have SCI, SSCI, right? And these are various databases that also guarantee the indexation of that journal. That journal is the good one. So you have to organize your literature review in the way you cannot just haphazardly put all the studies like this. You have to give the introduction of your literature review, then the main body of your literature review that considers all the sources and all the uh, authors, what have they said about their topic, and then the conclusion part, that what you have learned from their analysis and what you are going to proceed with, but what seems to be missing to you. So literature review can be in any form. I've already told you that it can be in story form, it can be in one by one form, it can be in argumentative form, it can be in integrated form. If you are giving it chronologically with the dates, it can be in historical form. If you're focusing on the methodology part, like first I am giving all the studies who have done factor analysis, then I am giving all the studies who have regression analysis, then I am giving all the studies who have applied structural equational modeling, that it will be called methodological review. We can also have systematic review. Systematic review summarizes all the existing research problem point of view. Then we can have theoretical review. If we are giving some theory based review, that these theories were covered under this review, these theories were covered under this review, that would be theoretical review. So you can have any format for your literature review. Only the core component it is having is that it should be organized. It should not be haphazard. It should not be random. It should be according to some criteria. That criteria can be methodology. That criteria can be date. That criteria can be any system. That criteria can be theory. That criteria can be your argumentative reviews. So criteria has to be followed while writing the literature review. So till now, we have written abstract, we have written introduction, we have written literature review. Then comes the research gap. Now, after this rigorous literature review, what was missing? What were the problems that were not addressed? What was the methodological part that was not covered? What were the variables that was not covered? So you can address that research gap, that what your study is now going to be doing and what your study is contributing to the research gap. That missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle, that has to be answered now. Then comes your, now we have written abstract, we have written introduction, we have written review of literature along with the research gap. Then comes the methodological part. Now our study must use some set of research methods. So that research method should be made very clear. How you have collected your data, how you have analyzed, which software you have used, which technique you have used, how do you select your sample, what size of sample you have selected, what area you have selected. You have to give all these details in your methodological part, and that too with a proper justification. You cannot just pick anything that we are using Punjab area and we are using a sample of 500. Why you are using Punjab area, why you are using a sample of 500? You should justify your each and every selection with a supporting review or some logical argument that you will get from review of literature only. So this is the research methodology. You are going to mention your research design, population, then your sample, then your method of data collection, and then the tools and techniques that you have used. A research design can be exploratory or descriptive. If we are exploring something which is very new, that is exploratory. And if we are only describing that has already been done, that would be descriptive research. And if we are studying some cause and effect relationship, it would be causal research. Population is the complete set of people that we are going to study. For example, if we are going to study the bankers of Punjab, the complete set of bankers, all the bankers of the Punjab will be our population. But since we cannot study all the bankers of Punjab, we will select a particular sample from it, like a sample of 500 or 600. And there are certain probability and non-probability sampling techniques that how we can select a representative sample. Then data collection, primary, secondary, we've already talked about that. And then tools and techniques like factor, regression, and sim. So which tools and techniques we are using. So this is your methodology part. So methodology part has to contain your research problem, the overall approach, how you have collected the information, which methods have you used, what are the rules for data collection, how you are analyzing the things, the complete chart is given. Then the next part of the writing comes about is discussion and results. Once you have selected your data and you have collected your data, you have analyzed those things, you have got the tables. The software gives you the results in the form of tables, but you have to interpret those tables. There will be p-value, there will be beta coefficients, but what does this p-value and beta coefficients tell you? You have to interpret. So you summarize your results, you summarize your findings in a form of meaningful information. Software will only give you figures, that will only give you data. You have to convert it in the meaningful findings of your research, that yes, if p value is this and beta coefficient is this means that green microfinance is impacting significantly on the environmental outcome. So p value and beta coefficient will give you the strength of relationship between one variable and the second variable that you have selected earlier, right? So these results and discussions must give you the opportunity to report the facts. There should not be anything from your own guesswork, your own feelings. It should be based on the facts, the data that is being given to you by the software, only that should be interpreted. And you can make it more attractive through including tables and graphs and quotes from the interviews, right? So you can have the table and interpret the table that 66% said this, 44% this. Then you can have bar charts, then you can have pie charts, then you can use your judgment also in any form of communication. So most important is, till now we have done our methodological part and our results and discussion. Now here winds up our paper, but our paper must extend to what are the implications of our research, what are the limitations of our research, and what is the future research agenda. This completes our paper. So recommendations must include, that should also be evidence based. Recommendations should not be very general, that can be given by any layman, but you are a researcher, you must give recommendations that are evidence based, that are realistic, that is based on your discussion, on your results. Since there is a significant relationship, that's why there must be a more strong policy towards green microfinance or subsidized ways to enhance it in rural areas. So your every recommendation should be based on your data, based on your field, based on your context. It should not be very general. Then the limitation part includes that what could not be done in your research. Maybe your research was only restricted to a particular area. Maybe your research could not include certain set of variables. Maybe your research could not include certain different parameters that you could not study. Maybe your research could not include some skills. Maybe there is some source of restraint based on time, money, resources. We always have some restraints. We cannot cover everything in one go. So you must mention your limitations in this. And then comes your conclusion part. No new arguments or evidence should be mentioned in conclusion part. It should only summarize all the arguments and your central part that you have already mentioned, and must reflect on limitations a little bit and suggest areas for further research in a very recommended way. And then you can include your appendices, maybe some questionnaire, maybe some letter, any relevant information that you've seen it is essential to reveal. You can present it in the form of report, policy, or document at the end, which you think must be a part of research paper, and it is important for your reader. Your reader can be manager, banker, or an academician. Accordingly, you can give your appendices basically a relevant document that you seem is necessary to be coincided with it. Appendix should be kept minimum. It should not be like 10, 10, 12 pages document. Don't attach such big documents with your research paper. It should be as minimum as possible. It is just that it is important for the reader's understanding to go through that appendix. Mostly appendix is your questionnaire. If you have used a structured questionnaire to collect the data, you cannot put your questionnaire in the research paper itself. You will attach your questionnaire at the end. So it should not be the part of main paper. So about writing a research paper, I am summarizing the writing part now. You have to use the innovative ideas. You have to use the scientific way of using terminologies and bibliography, specifications, publication authorities, in-depth knowledge, So writing should be simple. I've already mentioned no technical jargons, no ambiguity terms should be there. So have a clear understanding of your content and just in your own unique style of writing, give it a one go. And these days also there are many AI tools that can assist you in writing research paper. Earlier writing a research paper would take months, but now with the help of AI tools like Claude and many other, you can just have it in shorter time possible. At the end, obviously, referencing is the most important part. Referencing will contain all the citations, all the papers that you have used till now, and consistently in some alphabetical order, you can give a list of all those references. So you can have due acknowledgement of those papers. The references can be in MLA, APA, many formats are there. Basically, this is an example of reference like author name, then you have your paper name, then you have journal name, then volume name, issue name, year, and then the page number, right? This is a basic format of a reference. It can be different as the year can be taken there also, and this page number, volume number can be written in another way. So there are different formats like APA format is there. The year is mentioned earlier, and then we have the name of paper, name of journal, page number, and nothing more. So it can be in APA, MLA, Harvard, Chicago. We have different formats for writing references. You can use any. And you can use also softwares like Mendeley and LaTeX and EndNote to maintain the set of references. So this was our first draft. Now we have to make our second draft. Now we have to, more importantly, answer our assignment. What we have started with, what were our basic assumptions? Just keeping the reader's perspective in mind and removing the points that cannot substantiate further. We have to rearrange the things. We have to make the sections upward and downward. We have to remove old ideas. Just a basic second draft. So we have considered the planning part, we have considered the writing part. Now the third part is revision. Once the paper is written, it is not final. You have to revise it once or twice to make it a perfect piece of your academia. So how can you revise a paper? You can evaluate, you can redraft, you can edit, and you can proofread. How to evaluate? You can evaluate it with certain questions that does it line up with your vision of the paper, with the vision that you have started. Have you answered that? Is there anything missing? Is everything clear? You can get to your research paper read from several experts, your friends or your colleagues, to get the answers of these questions. Would a different structure would be better, or should anything should be removed, or anything should be added? You should evaluate in these terms. And then you have to redraft the paper to prioritize if there are some changes. You have to reformulate some arguments, you have to reorder some information, or if you have to make some cuts and additions, you will redraft as per your evaluation done. And then finally you will edit your paper. You will edit it in terms of if there are any grammatical errors or sentence structures or ambiguities or redundancies, if some information is repeated. And you have to avoid the repetition. There should be no repetition, so you have to edit the paper accordingly. And then the formatting of the paper, all the grammatical errors should be removed, the formatting should be clear, no words should be overcrowded. Like we have a simple format of 12 times new Roman that will be followed, justified text that will appear most professional. So look for any typos, typographical errors, cut unnecessary words. There should not be any inconsistencies in formatting and spellings. And the final step is proofreading. You can give your paper to your friends, family, and colleagues to proofread it for any errors, for any missing words, for any confused word choices, for any punctuation errors, for missing or excess spaces, any capitalization or referencing mistakes. You will just once proofread your paper. And there's also one technique called reverse coding. Reverse coding is you can just read your paper backwards. That will also be helpful in proofreading of your paper. There are also many global concerns. That is, your paper completes every task specified, logical organization is okay, paragraphs is okay, introduction is okay, just an overview and the final touches. And some little grain details at the end, that no unnecessary or irrelevant information is there, no technical terms are there that your audience might not be identified, or each sentence helps to support the topic. So little touch ups at the end. So this was all about your planning, writing, and revising a paper. The final takeaways from this section is that you must always cite your references. Plagiarism check, we have many softwares like Turnitin and Urkund available to have a plagiarism check. These days, AI tools also have a plagiarism check. So you have must have a plagiarism check. You must download papers, read them, and develop your research interest. Then narrow down your research interest and develop an area, and then just start writing. Don't wait for a perfect day that will come when you will start writing your research paper. Just start writing now, because procrastination can just spoil the concept. So these are some of the tools that can help you identify the journal, because once your paper is written, you are definitely interested in the outcome of publication. So when you are sending it to some journal for the publication, these tools will, Journal Finder, Journal Suggester, these are the tools by Elsevier. Elsevier is also a very good publication house. These tools will help you identify the right journal, because there are a number of journals available, and which journal is best suited for your paper. These tools can help you, because the ultimate outcome is your publications. You need publications at the end. So increase in your citations. Publications are going to help you in H-index, I-10 index. There will be research collaborations. So publication is the ultimate happiness after you write a research paper. So post-publishing experience is really great, but it requires a great level of hard work in writing a paper and then putting it for a publication under review. So that was all about writing a research paper. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Yes, now the forum is open. If any query, any question, feedback, anything, the participants can share. And thank you so much, Dr. Dilpreet, for this insightful session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Participants want to ask anything?